Can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Now, live from Chicago, the Hal Sparks radio program Mega Worldwide.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Hal Sparks, your comedian and multimedia personality.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hal
true.
Sparks.
All right, let's do this.
This is it's one of those crazy weeks. It's one of those crazy weeks where
I don't hear you.
You don't hear me all of a sudden?
Neither
You
do
think
I.
that's so great. Oh,
That's so
I see
strange.
lips moving.
Okay, so now you can hear me.
Now I can hear you.
me.
I was about
Yeah.
to take over with sound effects.
I was worried. I wasn't trying. See, that's not a
In here today.
what? See, that's not. That's like 8-bit.
Yeah.
Fart.
Okay. You just.
I love you, Johnny.
Yeah, we all love Johnny. Can I just say for the record that Johnny worked on that all week?
I did.
There were multiple takes. There was, you know, he was like, give me one more, just for me, you know.
Give me one more.
He and the
And
director
here's the other
were.
one. If things are falling apart, this is how I recover.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what you said.
All right. That's a good one. You're like one of those people who just puts out those green screened meme gifs that show up in Twitter that are so obviously trying to stack on. Oh, really? You know, like that.
Yep.
And they make like a gesture. It's rather pathetic, and I enjoy it. Anyways, where were we before I wantonly disappeared from public view? I mean, this is the week that Steve Bannon perp walked. I think, do you have a round of applause?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hang on just a second. I've got this.
I'll call them up. It'll take. That's not it. That's the sound of people seeing the spot on his forehead when he walks into the jail. That's not it either. That's the wrong one. That's the owning the libs mating call.
By the way, Lisa Mia Moore has already thrown down in the super chats, as has Bobby Brunswick.
Oh my gosh! Thank you, Robert, and thank you, Lisa Mia Moore. And the Charm just subscribed, which I think shows taste and breeding on their part.
Yeah, Charm.
Look at that.
So yeah, perp walk. He looked great.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? He was wearing makeup. For the record, you want to doll yourself up. I mean, you can't be Steve Bannon.
Little concealer.
Man about town, unless you aren't afraid to put on a little bass. It's all about that bass when you're
just trying to blend everything.
That's right. Yeah. Just the idea is to lose all features when they take your mugshot. He was trying to make himself look like the security guy on Deep Space Nine. If you put on enough bass, you have no distinguishing physical characteristics. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. Now that obviously he's been indicted, he bonded out, and he's going to eventually go to jail. Now,
amazing.
I misspoke day before yesterday because I had always been under the impression that in the busyness around January 6th and all that other stuff, that they had actually had a trial of his federal charges on this very same thing, and that I just blitzed it.
The
Build the Wall
campaign stuff.
No, this is because he started this this Build the Wall. Fake Build the Wall charity.
Right. Yeah, I was conflating it with the inauguration thing.
No. The inauguration funds. No, those are all friends of Melania. That's the FOM charges. Interestingly enough, do you remember Kansas Secretary of State Chris Kobach? Remember that guy?
Yeah, I remember that name.
Oh yeah, he was big on election interference initially. He was one of the people who, like Brian Kemp, was like, the secret is we just kick anybody off the rolls that has a D next to their name for any possible reason. If they have a name similar, if you squint and ignore their middle name as somebody else, we'll just count it twice and knock both people off. It's a great plan. It's going to work. He lost his job. But he went and joined this border wall group with Steve Bannon. He became a member of the board of directors of this fake Build the Wall scheme. So he went into business after leaving office, his business became bilking MAGA supporters of their money, just like Steve Bannon, which I find hilarious. And the biggest issue I have of all of this stuff is this illusion that apparently the right-wing world and all of Fox and Newsmax are under, is that Joe Biden is weaponizing everybody, of course, in the Bannon War Room posse, all 9 of them, are all talking about how Biden has weaponized the Justice Department against his political opponents. And that's why he's going after Steve Bannon.
What a horrible idea. Who would even have that idea?
Well, here's the thing. Trump wishes he could do it, and he's still chafed that Jeff Sessions wouldn't do it.
The entire duration of his...
Exactly.
He was... Whatever you call it.
President. And that goes to the whole time where during Biden's presidency, during Obama's presidency, they were constantly talking about how Obama rules like a dictator and ignores the law and all this kind of stuff, even though they spent a lot of time, threading the needle and getting their stuff within the law. The right lived under this illusion that Obama was acting like a dictator and shoving things down their throat, which is this bizarrely sexual connotation that they always seem to bring up, which was creepy and odd. But ultimately, Obama had to abide by the law like every other president does. And when Trump believed it so deeply, apparently, that when he got into office, he was shocked that he actually had to follow some of the laws, and it hamstrung a lot of his dumber plans. I really do believe that he never had a health plan, and he certainly never had an infrastructure plan.
Give it 2 weeks.
Right. But during that time, he probably thought he could just executive order some stuff, like fix the bridges, and like that was it, right? He could just write that on a piece of paper and Congress would have to do it. And he was shocked that, no, there's actually laws you have to, and there's a material process that's involved because we have a president, not a king. It's kind of important. Mm-hmm. So anyways, but the theory that, what do you think the biggest flaw in the theory that they weaponize the Justice Department is when it comes to...
Aren't they all Trump appointees?
That's a good one. Not quite where I was going. Even more nefarious. When it comes to Chris Kobach specifically and this board of directors and Steve Bannon getting busted for money laundering and bilking MAGA supporters. If I was president and the other party was engaged in a scheme to rip off and defraud their own supporters, the way I would weaponize the Justice Department to benefit my side is to leave them alone, is to not charge them with fraud, is to just let the crime go unpunished. Because Steve Bannon was stealing from Trump supporters, money that he was eating, snorting, buying cars with, whatever. And in the process of doing it, that is money that is not going to congressional candidates on the Republican side. It's stuff that is definitely not going to build any kind of a wall. So if you were Biden and you were weaponizing the Justice Department, the way you would do it is to not charge Steve Bannon and not go after this fake organization. You would want your opponent to keep stealing from their own people. The irony is that Biden is protecting MAGA voters from the vultures on yes, from Steve Bannon. I don't know why they don't seem to grasp that. Anyways, Chris Kobach announced day before yesterday that the border wall nonprofit, he resigned and they are shutting it down, and that they're in the process of dismantling this thing. We got to take a break. When we come back, there's a lot of Russian news right now that I think is going by, and I want to, a lot of this stuff that's going on with the special master and all that, which is, by the way, going nowhere, brings up one of our old pals in the Russia investigation. The guy who used to just be the dumbest guy you saw on television with regular order. And I'm sure Johnny will think of it during the break. We'll be back. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Now with 100% more Johnny Million. Oh, You can't promote yourself by playing sad trombone. It doesn't work. We'll be back. No.
The Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Okay, all right, okay. We are having too much fun discussing our former favorite moron from the from the Russia investigation, the Mueller report, or whatever. There were some. Now you can be forgiven, Johnny Million, for not immediately thinking of it, because there were a lot of dumb people involved.
So I could pick
one of them. One of them, I would argue, is the former president himself, because if you ever look at the picture of him laughing with Sergei Lavrov, or the other Russian dude who died, who was in the Oval Office, dropping little listening devices, in every corner. Trump he's got this look on his face the entire time. They're laughing, the kind of belly laugh, like, I can't believe where we are right now. Can you imagine these idiots letting us in here?
He's laughing like Steve Carell, an anchorman who doesn't quite get the joke.
Yeah, he's laughing like, hey guys, wait up. He's got this kind of like, huh? What? I don't get it. Like, it's quite frightening if you think it through, that he was so lost in that moment and not aware of the threat that was actually around him. And I trust that the DOD and the Secret Service and everybody, after Trump went to bed that night, did a full sweep of that room. Nothing stayed. He didn't say, nobody gets to go in the Oval Office tonight after I leave to protect the listening devices. Like, he's just dumb. So, but Carter Page's one of his big defenses was that there's no emails tying, Trump ordering him to carry messages to and from Russia when he was over there, or talk to Russians who were backstage at Trump rallies and RNC events. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One, Trump doesn't use email because he's paranoid about it, because he knows he's been criming for a very long time. He writes things down, he eats pieces of paper. It's how he does things. Listen to Michael Cohen talk about it. It's all the time. And the other thing is that even the dumbest criminals in the world aren't dumb enough to email Carter Page. You bring him in the room, you hand him an envelope, you tell him where to take it. If he arrives with it, he drops it off. He doesn't know what's in it, because if he knows anything, he'll tell Chris Hayes, because Chris Hayes has dreamy eyes. He does,
and he'll flash the eyebrows.
He will. He'll flash the eyebrows at Chris Hayes will just look at him, and then the eyebrows will start pinging like a weird meerkat mating signal. And anyways, so why bring up Carter Page other than the joy it brings us that, again, we need to all be thankful that the scheme by the Russians was carried out by morons who were incapable of actually doing anything, and that the attack on January 6th was organized and orchestrated by people equally stupid. And had they had a brain cell between them to rub together, we would have been in deep doo-doo. But thank God, they're all idiots. So why Carter Page, though, other than, like I said, the joy of bringing it up? Well, it's because in the request for a special master, Trump and the DOJ each get to recommend two people they want to be the special master.
Oh, you can just nominate randos?
Yes. No, you go to the court and you go, we want these two people, one of these two people, and they say we want one of these two people, and then you both either agree, and if you can't agree, the judge will pick one of the four.
But can you say Ben Affleck and Tobey Maguire because you like superhero movies?
Yes, the judge will never agree, but largely because of those guys saucy backgrounds. You know what I mean? Just because of their dating lives. It'd be hard to vet, impossible to vet. So the reason is because of who was suggested by the government and by Donald Trump. So Trump got to select two judges that he wants to be the special master. And I'm gonna bring them up on screen. Johnny, you won't be able to see them, but I'll read them out to the folks that are watching. But in this particular instance, so the government suggests two people. The Honorable Barbara S. Jones, retired. She's a judge from the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York. She's a partner at Bracewell LLP and a special master in the matter of search warrants executed in April 28, 2021, and in the matter of search warrants executed in April 19, 2018. So she's had experience separating stuff found in a search warrant around, arguably, I suppose, government documents and personal documents that were mixed together. Now, why Trump thinks that all he has to do is hide government documents amongst his personal documents and you can't even take them, like you can't take those are my baby pictures. Yes, the pages the pages in between them are made of flattened pressed cocaine, sir. Like, it doesn't work that way. So the other one they suggested was the Honorable Thomas B. Griffith, retired circuit judge of the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia, special counsel to Hunton Andrew Kurth LLP, and a lecturer on law at Harvard Law School. These are the two people that the government suggested. Now, the two people, oh boy, the two people that Trump and his attorneys suggested, this is Christina Bobb and Elena Haba. That's her, it's hyphenated. The second one, I'll read the second one first, was Paul Huck.
I switch over to YouTube. I can see it now.
Paul Huck Jr., founder of the Huck Law Firm, former Jones Day partner. Yeah, right. Former general counsel to the governor, former deputy attorney general for the state of Florida. So basically a Florida political insider.
Yeah.
You know, the kind of guy who helped Matt Gaetz avoid prosecution for years and is probably running interference in the Greenberg case right now. Paul Huck Jr. Notice the lack of the honorable on that one. We'll just have to assume honorable in this moment. The other one, the Honorable Raymond J. Dearie, former chief judge of the United States District Court for the Eastern District of New York, served on the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, formerly the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of New York. Now, that's an interesting choice for a dude who... Now, what is the primary argument you hear from Trump world around the Russia investigation? That the FISA courts were weaponized against them. That these FISA warrants were just handed out like candy. That was one of the analogies. And you'll be happy to know that the Honorable Raymond J. Dearie signed off on Carter Page's search warrant and surveillance warrant. Yeah, he was one of the people who was who sort of did the continuing resolution of Carter Page's surveillance on behalf of the government. Now, if Carter Page was an innocent victim and Trump world thinks the FISA court of all things has been weaponized against them, why would they want Dearie to sign off on this warrant if they feel like, oh my God, the FISA court was weaponized against them? I'll tell you why. Because anybody who followed the stuff about the FISA court and the one person who was busted for lying to in a search warrant application to the FISA court, they miswrote something on one of Carter Page's FISA warrant applications, and that became a big story. Carter Page has used it. Trump talks about it. Newsmax uses it all the time. Anytime you hear them talk about how they falsified information to get FISA search warrants on members of the Trump team, yada yada, they're talking about the FISA warrant to look after, to continue to surveil Carter Page. Well, the problem they have with that is the lie that was written on the application and that was ultimately signed by Judge Dearie made it less likely that the search warrant would continue and narrowed the scope of it. It protected Carter Page and Trump. The lie benefited Trump. And so the idea is that they lied on these FISA warrants and that's how they got to surveil us. No, they attempted to scuttle them That's that, and Deary was a part of that. At least that's, I mean, it's abundantly obvious at this point that Deary either winked and a nodded, leaned their direction, or was just more inclined as a conservative judge to shut down the Carter Page investigation. And by
Get it? So who's selecting these for Trump?
his attorneys, or he is, and that's the other thing. Like, who suggested this name to Trump world? Who are they calling? Or are they just going, he did us a solid. He signed off on the modified warrant against Carter Page that kept them from being able to follow him overseas, or kept them from being able to, watch him as he shuttled things from here to the Russian embassy, as opposed to, like, we can't stop him from looking at him if he flies to Russia, but he can, everywhere else we can stop them from looking at him, that kind of stuff. It reeks of that. So anyways, this the thing I'm showing on the live feed at infotainmentwars.com and twitch.tv/HalSparks, or on Twitter or Facebook when you're watching right now, is the U.S. District Court, Southern District of Florida, West Palm Beach Division's case, parties joint filing respecting the court's appointment of a special master, Donald Trump plaintiff versus the United States of America defendant, which is, that in and of itself is hilarious. But they propose this. The other thing, of course, too, is that Trump thinks that the taxpayer has to split the cost on the special master. The plaintiff proposes to split evenly the professional fees and expenses of the special master and any professional support staff and expert consultants engaged at the master's request. The government's position is that, as the party requesting the special master, plaintiff should bear the additional expense of the special master's work. Agreed. Like, no, you asked for this, you pay for it. This has nothing to do with the classified documents. This is entirely to do with you trying to slow this process. So the longer it takes, the more expensive it gets for you. If we have to split the costs, it is more impetus for him to be able to drag this thing on longer, because he only has to pay 50% of the charge. Forget it. It will take them 6 hours to vet stuff that was in his personal documents, whether they are covered. Everything else
seems. It's not like it's right. Not like a warehouse full of documents.
Nope. It's
no IRS audit.
Nope. And it's dozens of stuff, and like T-shirts and golf balls and stuff like that. Even some of that's got to stay in the National Archives because they're gifts and you can't take them with you unless you request them specifically for your library, in which case you don't keep them at home. You put them in your library, and your library is a charity that raises money for other things. Anyways, we got to take a break. When we come back, there is a lot of movement, obviously, in the Donbass right now in Russia, and I do want to touch on that because it's kind of extraordinary. We'll be back. Ow, that's loud. It's very loud.
Oh, sorry.
Very loud.